Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a really good email that was sent to me from a subscriber, really young guy, probably about 22, 23 years old, who's in a way at a crossroads in his early life, and he wants my advice on how best to handle a situation with him and his girlfriend. And guys, when I go through this, you're going to see this is the exact reason why I do these videos, to help guys out, particularly young guys that don't really have someone to give them the good advice that's not, related to them or connected to them, an outside party to help them out so that way they make the right decisions with regarding their lives and their goals and also with dealing with women. And in this situation, guys, this guy, he's probably about 22, 23. He just graduated college, and he's now planning to go join the Air Force in a few months and begin the basic training for a couple months and then go to tech school, 8 to 10 months, he said, and then have a career in the Air Force. And a lot of respect for this guy for pursuing a career in the military. Good for him. Problem is this guy, for the last he said a year and 8 months, has a girlfriend, a serious girlfriend who obviously really cares about, and it's caused a lot of problems because she knows that in a few months he's out of there. And so basically he wants some advice on how to best handle the situation, because obviously this guy, you can tell just the way he writes, he's very mature for his age, he's on his purpose, he's driven, but he's got the girlfriend and wants to handle it in the best possible way because she's all emotional and all that shit. So I'm going to go through his story here, guys, and offer some guidance to really try to help this guy out. So starts off, he says here, "Hey man, I need some guidance. I've been in a solid relationship with my girlfriend for around a year and 9 months now. I'm currently in the process of joining the United States Air Force, and I'm planning to ship out in January. I just graduated in May, and my girlfriend is graduating this December. I will be in basic training for about 2 months, and then I'll be most likely be in tech school for another 8 to 10 months before I'm finally stationed somewhere. She has her own plans to go to college, to get her master's degree, and do a bunch of good work, which I'm very proud of her. However, I'm planning a career in the Air Force." So they've been in college together, and he's been doing his thing, she's been doing hers. Somewhere along the way, met this girl, obviously has a very good relationship going. Obviously she's important to him, otherwise he wouldn't have taken the time to write this email. But now they're at a crossroads, as you're about to see, because he's going one way, she's going the other. And a lot of times, guys, most guys in situations like this don't make the right choice. They'll make one of what I'll show you is 3 typical bad choices and end up screwing up all their good all their good goals. So I will get into that later on when I finish this guy's email, because it's not too long here. He says here, "The main problem is the distance. I will probably not get to see her for at least through tech school, probably longer. So they do the long distance relationship, and he's not going to see her for probably close to a year. Okay? In fairness, that is tough in any situation. Okay? I did a long distance relationship one time when I was younger, and I'll tell you all about it a little bit later when I'm getting into what my recommendations this guy is." And he says here, "And I am terrible at long distance relationships. I've had a couple in the past, but texting and calling isn't just the same. I'm definitely not going to marry her out of basic or tech school like a cliche." Well, smart there, brother. "But I don't know whether or not to continue the relationship or break up with her. I do not want to waste her time or hold her back from her dreams with being in a dying relationship. But at the same time, I haven't felt this way about any woman before and love what we have." There you go. "I also worry about her finding someone else while I am away, which is another military cliche, but happens fairly regularly." Yeah, you bet your ass it happens fairly regularly. In fact, it isn't just fairly regularly, it's quite often. I've done 2 videos on the subject on stories I've read, and then I think thousands of comments that I've read about guys talking about either it happened to them or somebody they know or a friend, a family member, whatever it happens to be. They get together, they either get together or they get married before the guy ships out or stationed somewhere, and the second he's gone, all of a sudden her door's wide open and there's more meat going through her like a fucking hot dog factory. Okay, so the guy doesn't need that. So good for him for realizing that. He goes on, "Every time I bring up the Air Force, she just starts crying, and it takes me at least 20 minutes to calm her down." That doesn't sound like fun to me. We haven't been able to fully talk about it without her getting upset to the point of becoming hysterical. I just really need some help figuring out what to do with our relationship and how to talk to her about it without her crying. Good luck there, dude. It has really put a damper on our relationship. It hasn't helped me. It hasn't helped that in the meantime, I've been working multiple jobs in order to save up for a car and have a safety net when I enlist. So I haven't been able to see her much, and he says in parentheses, he went from once a week to seeing her to maybe once every couple of weeks. I love your videos, man, and I really hope you can give me some insight on how to become a strong, successful male in this situation. Keep up the good work. Okay, so this is a situation a lot of young guys may face at some point, whether they're just graduating high school or in college, where, depending on, because they're, it's early on in life, they're now young adults and they're making decisions where they want to go in life, where they come to a situation where they got a girlfriend and soon they're going to have to part ways. And the guy obviously, like this guy here in this situation, he obviously says that, he's got a good thing going with her, which is cool. And he obviously loves her. Okay, that's cool for you. And now he has to deal with all the crying and emotions and her being hysterical and all that shit. And to the guy who sent this is normal, okay? And be happy that you got a good situation, a girl that actually wants you around. The problem is that where a lot of guys go wrong in a situation like this is they typically do one of three things, which I'm going to get into, which completely derails their plans in one form or another. The first mistake a lot of guys make is that they're going off somewhere, whether it's the military or a different school, or maybe they're doing a study abroad program, something that creates distance between the guy and his girlfriend. And they usually make one of the three following mistakes. The first mistake they usually do is, against their own good judgment, they continue on the relationship and do the long distance thing. Okay? And what usually happens in that situation is the guy and the girl part ways. And the guy goes to do whatever he has to do. Maybe go to school, military, study abroad, internship abroad, who knows? There's distance between them. And the guy has to cater to her. The guy has to keep up with texting her, calling her, emailing her, planning a date with her. And instead of focusing on what he's got to focus on, his school, military, study abroad, internship, he's distracted by her. Okay? And depending on how she handles it, even if she handles it pretty well, he's focused on her, not 100% what he's got to do to take care of business for his goals and his purpose. A young guy should be focused completely on his goals and his purpose, not on women, okay? That can come later if that's what you want. Okay, so anyhow, a guy does that. They go along with it, even though they know in their gut, don't do this long distance thing. Best to break up early on, part ways on as good a terms as you can do. Break up with a girl in a kind, compassionate way. And if she's mad and throws a fit, hey, you did your best to handle it in a kind, compassionate way. But instead, the guy goes along with this. And the next thing you know, there's tension, there's turmoil. She's upset because he doesn't call as much. He doesn't text as much. Or, and in her mind, he doesn't care. And that distracts him from what he's got to do. Wrong. And also, what could happen is she starts becoming distant to him because she can't handle being apart. Most women cannot handle being on their own. They need to have a guy there to pay attention to them or be with them. So next thing you know, she can start stepping out. And all of a sudden, she's not calling him or texting him as much. And he's now, instead of focusing on what he's got to focus on, he's focused on the fact that she's not texting as much, calling as much. Is she cheating on me? See where I'm going with this? And that way then, it screws the whole thing up. And oftentimes, she could be cheating or just simply losing interest. And they break up. And then what they once had that was good, that's over and done with. And he's wasted so much time and energy focused on her instead of focusing on what he's got to do. That's the first mistake that people do. So don't do that. The second mistake a lot of young guys do in a situation like this is they hear all the crying and the freaking out and all that stuff. And what do? Particularly if they're in their early 20s, because this guy got out of college, some of these guys will actually go ahead and marry the girl. They figure, hey, if she's my wife, then we're together and we'll make it work. Then it'll be okay. Wrong. Big mistake. Don't fucking do that. Okay, that's to this guy here and anybody else listen to this. Huge mistake. Like I've said, he's going to go in the military. I've done videos on this, stories about what happens when Young guy marries a girl. They think everything's great. She moves into his house that he obviously gets housing allowance for or whatever. And he goes away and is stationed somewhere. There's distance. And next thing you know, she's hooking up left and right. Does this mean that every single military wife is going to do this? No. Okay? But it obviously happens so much that it's a cliche. And again, I've read stories about this and heard constant stories about this. So you don't need this. Okay? And of course, again, if this guy would do this, because some guys do that make this mistake, they get married. And then the guy, he's stationed someplace else, or he goes to school someplace else, whatever happens to be in that situation, and again has to deal with her. And of course, if she's cheating, dealing with that heartache, humiliation, financial losses with divorce and all that shit, you don't need it. So don't do that. Third mistake a lot of young guys make in a situation like this where there's a crossroads and there's going to be distance is the guy in the last minute, because the girlfriend's crying and says that you don't love me and la la la, the guy decides to change his plans. He then decides to not go join the military. He decides not to go study abroad. He decides not to take that great internship in another state or another country. He decides to not go to that other school, that great opportunity for him in some other state or part of the country or another part of the world. And because he doesn't want to lose her. He feels bad. And what happens then? He is now, instead of focusing on his purpose, his goals, he's made her his purpose. And what happens then? It's going to turn her off. Not only is he missing out on all these great opportunities for her, when there's plenty of women out there and the odds are it's not going to work out anyway, but now he's made her his purpose. Big mistake, because she may, initially in the beginning, be doing cartwheels and be so happy that the guy would decide to stay for her, but it's not going to be long before all of a sudden it's going to turn her off, because that guy is no longer being the same guy, the driven, ambitious man that she was attracted to in the first place. This is how women are screwed up. So don't do that either. Okay, a lot of guys do it. I've known guys that have changed their plans. They've had these great plans. They're ambitious guys, and the girlfriend starts the waterworks, and next thing you know, they change their plans, and their life was going this way. Now it's going this way in a different direction, a different timeline. And guess what? These things usually don't work out because, again, she's lost respect for the guy because he changed his plans for her. He's not being the same driven, ambitious guy that she was attracted to initially. And one way or another, in time, it ends. And the guy missed out on that opportunity. So, the young guy who asked me this in this video, in this article, in his email, what do I think he should do? Based on my life experience, because I did the long distance thing when I was 18, and it didn't last very well, very long, and believe me, I know what it's like. In this situation, I would break up with her. That's what I would do in this situation, based on my life experience, based on everything I've learned over the years, based on all the stories I've read, based on friends and family that have been in a situation one way or another like this. I'd break it off with her. But I would do it. I would figure out what you got to say. This is not the relationship channel, guys, but he did ask me this question, so I'm going to try to help him. Based on, I would sit her down and ahead of time plan out what you're going to say, and with as much kindness and compassion that you can possibly do, explain, you break up with her, okay? Tell her you care about her so much and you love her and all that stuff, which she's got to hear, but just, you got to focus on what you got to focus on. And obviously, dude, she's not going to like this. There's going to be a lot of crying. There's going to be probably her throwing a fit. You're probably going to get that her telling you she doesn't love you, things like that. Any of you guys watching this that have been in a situation like this, you know what I'm talking about. You got to do what's best for you, brother, okay? It is your life. The decisions you make between 16 years old and 25 pretty much determine the rest of your life. And if you're not going to take my word for it, when I publish this video, in 24 hours after this video is published, there will probably be hundreds of comments from guys all around the world, all ages, all backgrounds, all walks of life, probably telling you to do the exact same thing that I'm saying. They're going to say, they'll be a little more harsh than me, but basically, sit her down, break up with her. Again, with kindness, with compassion, and then, here's the thing. You break up, you got to do what you got to do, and it's going to hurt, bro, okay? None of these situations, this is going to be easy, okay? Because obviously you care about her, like I said, otherwise you wouldn't have taken the time to write me. But you got to do it. You got to do what's best for you. Don't make the mistake of trying one of those other 3 scenarios, especially the last 2, or I'll slap the shit out of you. Do not try any of those 3 scenarios, because they're not going to work out for you, and you're going to be off your purpose and your goals. Right now, what you do right now, this decision you make could determine how the rest of your life goes. So listen to the older guys that have been there, that have made those mistakes. Don't make the wrong decision here. Break it off with her, be kind about it, and if she gets upset and yells and screams and kicks shit and all that, you're going to have to deal with that. And it's going to hurt. I get it. I've been there, believe me. But you're going to have to focus on your goals, okay? And yes, it is extremely likely that you break up, and soon she will find a replacement, either to help her forget you, or because a girl, typically most women need a guy in one form or another to be with. And it's going to hurt, and it's going to suck. But here's the deal. If you break it up with her in a kind, compassionate way, once she calms down on some level, she'll realize, looking back, and it can take a while, that you did your best to do it in a kind way, and she'll respect you, because at the end of the day, you went for your goals and your purpose. You were acting like a man. That's what a man does. That's masculine energy, going for your goals and your ambitions, no matter what. And then maybe, again, if you handle it right, maybe, just maybe, later on down the road, okay, I'm just saying this because obviously you care about her, maybe down the road, after you've done all the basic training, the tech school, you've gotten where you got to be in the military, then at that point, maybe, just maybe, if she's in the right place and you're in the right place, and if this is what you want, and what you want, not what she wants, maybe, just maybe, you may get together her later in life. It could be 5 years, 10 years, who the hell knows? Or you forget about her in 6 months. But for this situation, bro, and I'm going to steer away from that because this isn't the relationship channel, but I'm trying to help you out. Focus on your goals. Break up with her. Take a couple weeks or whatever it takes to figure out what you got to say, to do it in the best way, but then you got to stick with it. You break up with her, don't go changing your mind 2 weeks later and go back to her crying. That ain't going to work, okay? And it's going to be hard. I totally get that. But you got to do what's best for you. You're a young man. Your future is lying in your hands right now, so handle it the best way. And I applaud you for going after your goals. I applaud you for joining the military. We need guys like you out there. So good for you, bro. It'll be all right. No matter how crazy it may seem, trust me, bro, everything will be all right. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Please, guys, if you're watching this, comment below. Give this guy some advice. Take a moment of your time. Help him out. Maybe share some stories if you guys have been in a situation when you were younger, or maybe any of you guys right now that are about his age, been in the same situation. Give him some advice. Share your story. This will really help him out, because I guarantee he's going to read every freaking comment. So please do. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.